Good evening. Welcome back to Cutharinga Bowls Club for the final game on day 3 of the Galavanta Travel Dun Cup, proudly supported by Galavanta Travel, Hutchison Builders, Lexmar Training, Signs of Excellence, Muddy's Kitchen, Cutharinga Rhinos and North Queensland District Men's Bowls Association. We have a game on our live stream rink between South Townsville and Brandon. South Townsville have been here before, as have Brandon, but it's just the vagaries of the rink draws, which we have no major control over. Heath Hawkins was leading bowl about 3 metres behind, leading for Brandon. And back, but to the side of where Heath is, Heath Hawkins lead for South Townsville. Dave Print is playing second. Mark Hawkins, Heath's father, is playing 3, and Steve Motton is skipping. For Brandon, we have Gary Pearce leading, Dan O'Shea playing 2. Chris Pearce, the son of Gary, playing 3, and David D. Franchisi is skipping. It's David in the middle of the screen, as you can see now. Right. Chris has landed the first blow. It's holding shot for Brandon. This is a critical game for South Townsville. If they can overcome Brandon on this game, it puts them back in the hunt a little bit for the setup tomorrow. Dave Print running through the head somewhat. They're both in section 1. There was a little bit of a turnaround in section 1 in that last round. Cutharinga went down to Thuringowa. Ingham, we haven't got a full result from Ingham as yet. South Townsville won their game. Brandon won their game. In section 2, the front runners there, Jubilee went down to Bowen on the second last end, basically. Suburban had the bye, so they had a rest this afternoon. So we have a situation evolving where Bowen need to beat Ayr this afternoon, and they will then meet Suburban, who are undefeated. Bowen are undefeated too at this stage. So that game will be on tomorrow morning. And here we have South Townsville playing Brandon. Brandon's lost 1 game, I think, maybe 2. 1, I think it is. So they're still in the hunt, depending on what happens on other rinks. South Townsville have only lost 1 game. So this is a critical game to both these teams. Right, so we have a situation where Mark Hawkins has got the shot now with his white bowl. Chris Pearce coming down. Just going to duck under the head a little bit unless he gets nothing. Just ran off to the side. David wasn't unhappy with that bowl, so that might be close to having a look at. Mark Hawkins, I think Mark's definitely got the shot there with his first bowl. Trotting in nicely here, just round the back of those, finished up in a good position. Andy Thompson. Good evening, Andy, watching from the southwest coast of the United Kingdom. I hope you enjoy the live stream this afternoon. We're expecting a quality game from these two teams. Right, Chris has drawn the shot, which has made David DeFrancisi very happy. Again, we have a game of 21 ends, no time limit. It cannot be a drawn game. If the scores are tied at the end of 21 ends, they must play extra ends to get a result. Whether it be 1, 2, 3 or 4, it makes no difference. Dead ends still count with extra ends. If the end is killed, they go back to another end. But they must get a result. Steve Motton about to play his first bowl. Steve is one of the gun players in the district. And having said that, I hope I don't put the mocker on him. He's running around the back, just a little bit heavy for Steve. We've found over the weekend that this rink is subtly different to the other rinks. It's an artificial plastic surface, and it may take an end or two for these teams to come to terms with the pace and the grass of the green. Both hands are taking a fair amount of grass on both sides, and if it follows what we saw last night in a match at the same time, we'll find some of these bowls will really swoop towards the finish. Stevie's got a fair sort of bowl here, and he's got it all the way. Big bowl there from Steve. That should give South Townsville 2 shots on the head. David DeFrancisi with his second bowl. David is not new to Dunn Cup tournaments, has played in many a tournament. Okay, 2 shots to South Townsville to start them off. They've opened their eyes. Thank you, Dave. We've got the second and skips that are helping us out in this game so that we can clearly see what the result is of each end. As you can see by the graphic on the top left-hand corner, there is rain around, starting to come in. They're only forecasting showers, so it's moving. They're moving fairly quickly, coming from the northwest. Hopefully, that won't be too disturbing for the bowls in this game. We did get a little bit of rain last night. It was only light. Okay, David's done the right thing and moved to the side for us. Gary Pearce with his first bowl. Heath played quite a good bowl with his first. It was just short of jack high. I would suspect that Heath's still holding shot here, with Gary just a fraction short, maybe a 1.5 foot short, 2 feet. Heath with his second bowl. Now he's going to dive right across. Just pinched his grass somewhat. His weight was good, just his grass. Gary Pearce with his second bowl. Gary is the father of the third for Brandon, Chris Pearce. Got a good track here, and he's got the shot. Nice bowl there from Gary. Right, Dave Print with his first bowl. Dave swung it out wide. It's a long way to come back, as Dave said. There is an area out there, if you get just past the ideal grass width, it will hold out. And has been doing that all weekend. Dan O'Shea playing 2 for Brandon. He'll come back nicely, but just a little bit overcooked with his weight. Right. Dave Print now with his second bowl, hoping to be able to correct somewhat from his first. He's got a good track here. It's all down to his weight and whether it comes in, and just misses the kitty, so he didn't drag anything back. Dan now with his second bowl. Okay, Dan Moore. Muddy's upstairs looking after the kitchen and consoling his boys after they went down to Thuringowa in that last game on the last bowl of the last end. Mike Watts, glad to have you back with us, Mike. I hope you've enjoyed the live stream coverage. Mike is from Wales in the United Kingdom. Mark Edwards with his first bowl and has played a very nice bowl. Still one down, I suspect, South Townsville. Chris Pearce now. Hi Warren, glad to have you back, watching from Collie. We had quite a lengthy conversation with Warren in the last round. Okay, so we've definitely won up to Brandon at this stage. Mark Hawkins, great effort. Great effort. I think he might be just out of the count. David's indicating just he wants him to draw. Chris has his father's bowl at 11 o'clock, which he could promote if he's so wishing, but has run it to the back. Okay, so it's up to the skips now. Mark Simpson, go the Gower. Yes, well, they've had one win and one loss so far today. They went down this morning, but they managed to overcome Cutharinga this afternoon on the last bowl of the last end. Fergie Watson played an absolute bomb to get 3 shots, or 2 shots it was actually. So it looked like we were heading into a drawn game there with an extra end to come, but Fergie Watson managed to win the chocolates and give the game to Thuringowa, which created a great try there from Steve Motton, which created Cutharinga's first loss. So at this stage, both sections are still wide open. David threw his hands up in the air. Steve's got everything to play for here. A little trail, just a minor trail of the kitty. Could pick him up 2 shots. He's got some weight. He needs to start ducking through now. And he's not going to. He could. That's 2 shots to Brandon. David's last bowl for this end. He's liking it. He's following it down. Thank you. It's one of the Pierce boys, I think. No, that was Dan O'Shea. So and Dan made it impossible for us to see what the score on that end was. It was multiple, obviously, but whether it was 2 or 3, we're not too sure. Okay, it was 2 to Brandon, so after 2 ends, all square on 2 each, 2 all. Over the next short while, we'll endeavour to get a position of the top 4 or 5 teams in each section so we can see exactly what's happened after that last round. There was a flurry of finishes and we weren't able to get all the results. Heath Hawkins with another strong lead bowl. Gary Pearce now leading for Brandon. He's got a nice bowl here, Gary. He's coming in beautifully. That's a great bowl. Good position, just exactly what a skip likes to see. Mark Simpson, yes, both Steve and David. I'm not too sure whether they're both Home Hill skips, but they both had played for Home Hill in their earlier days. For those that aren't aware, David DeFrancesi is part of the DeFrancesi dynasty from the Ayr Home Hill region. His grandfather, father and brothers have all played Dun Cup. Okay. Great weight there from Dan O'Shea. Good response from Heath with his second bowl. Dave Print. Yes, Warren, we have Bowen undefeated in Section 2. Suburban undefeated in Section 2. And in Section 1 we have nobody now undefeated. Katharinga has had a loss. Tharanga have had 3 or 4 losses. South Townsville has had 1 loss. So all the interest at the moment is on section 2 as to who gets up and wins tonight. Could make an extremely great finish tomorrow morning, because at this stage the two teams that are undefeated in section 2, Bowen and Suburban, play each other in the final game tomorrow morning. And Bowen is currently playing Ayr at the moment. And as we can see, Suburban is playing, not too sure who Suburban's playing at the moment. Might be Noola. Suburban had the bye in the last round. Okay, nice attempt there from Mark Hawkins. Okay, so it looks likely that, well, it's interesting. Heath Hawkins might have the shot there. So I can see, no, maybe not. Gary Pearce looks like he's got the shot, because I can only see a part of the kitty between those two bowls, and most of it's in front of Gary Pearce's bowl. Warren, there's only one go through to the final out of each section. The winner of section 1 plays the winner of section 2 in the final tomorrow afternoon. 25 ends, no time limit. Yep. By the look of Mark Hawkins' reaction there, Gary Pearce is holding shot for Brandon. So Brandon are holding one shot on this end at this stage. Not a problem, Warren. More than happy to give whatever information we can so that people are understanding the vagaries of this particular competition. David D. Franchisi with his first bowl is tracking extremely well. He's tracking, right, not quite there. Brandon's still holding one shot with that blue and green bowl sitting next to the orange one. Steve Motton has taken a fair bit of grass with this, Steve. And he's tracking in nicely too. Big bowl from Steve Motton there. Okay, Steve Motton has just drawn the shot. The toucher, I would assume that had to be a toucher, because that kitty was a lot further, a lot closer to those other two bowls than what is now. But nobody's made a move to mark it, so. The temperature has definitely dropped. There's a lot more people with jackets, jumpers and coats on now than there was earlier. And we can definitely feel the rain in the area. Not raining here at this particular point in time, but it's all around us. It's coming in scuds. Mark's a little bit of a loss as to what he should get Steve to do. Well, Steve did play an incredible bowl with his last one to wrest the shot off Brandon. So he's a confidence bowler and he should be confident enough to try again with this one. Okay, so we do have an update on the results at the moment. Katharinga with 6 wins. Thorongau with 3 wins. Noola with 3 wins. South Townsville with 5 wins. Ingham 5 wins. Brandon 5 wins. Guru 1 win. Home Hill yet to have a win. And Colesville 1 win. So there's a little bit of a logjam at the top there in Section 1. Section 2. Bowen has 6 wins. Jubilee 4 wins. Suburban 6 wins. Alligator Creek 2 wins. Wangaratta have yet to have a win. McNade have 3 wins. Ayr has 1 win. Magnetic Island has 3 wins. And Gold City from Charters Towers has 3 wins. So a little bit of a logjam in Section 1. This round and the round tomorrow morning will certainly sort that one out. Okay, so South Townsville got 1 shot on that end. Gives them a 3-2 lead at the moment after 3 ends. Heath is jack high, but a little bit to the side. It'd be 1.5 metres. Gary has dropped 1.5 metres, 2 metres short. Heath's just coming through to the back. Very handy position there. Lloyd Shepherd. Yes, Brandon are performing extremely well in this tournament so far. They've got a lot to be pleased with themselves about. Gary Pearce rolling up and still rolling up into the shot position. Dave Print now from South Townsville with his first bowl. David is the chairman of the board at South Townsville Bowls Club. Just on the wrong side of Gary Pearce's bowl there. Flattened him down instead of coming around the front of him, or the back of him rather. Dan O'Shea with his first bowl. Dave Print with his second bowl. It's better grass. It's much better grass. It's given himself a chance there. Dan O'Shea with his second bowl. He's cut across the head a little bit. He might promote Gary Pearce, which he has done. Not enough to put him in for shot though. Right, Mark Hawkins. Study of concentration from Mark. He's still coming, so it's looking a very good nugget. His teammates are very happy with that. Chris Pearce now. He's given it every chance, just his weight. Just a little bit heavy at that stage. Mark Hawkins trying to improve on his last. I think he's going to duck under these front bowls. No, he's come around the back. Chris Pearce now. This is what David's looking for. It's Dave Prince bowl was pushed back there. South Townsville still holding one for sure, with Mark Hawkins' white bowl in the front. Right, Steve about to line up for his first bowl. Steve takes his bowls very, very seriously. And once he's in the groove, he is very hard to overcome. He missed out there badly. David DeFrancisi is halfway happy with it. He's not 100% sure, and he is going to go through the gap. Normally get a good indication. If David's extremely happy with his bowl, he follows it 2/3 of the way down the green, hopping all the way. Steve with his second bowl now. Yes, Mark, there is only one club in Charters Towers now. The two clubs amalgamated, and they now bowl out of the old Services Bowls Club. The town club was sold off for private development. Their numbers decreased to the stage where it was just unviable to keep the two clubs going. So after a few years, there was an agreement struck between the two that they would amalgamate into one club. So they are now the Gold City Bowls Club. David DeFrancisi trying to kick that bowl over and has got the shot, I would say, by the look of that. One shot to Brandon, which then takes us to 3-all after 4 ends on Muddy's Kitchen scoreboard. Steve was adjusting the scoreboard there, possibly from the side. We're playing good 3/4 length end at the moment. I did ask Muddy during the last game what if they'd timed the green this morning. Not that it makes much difference this afternoon because it changes dramatically, this plastic. The colder it gets, the faster it gets. Brilliant bowl there from Gary Pearce. Heath Hawkins, one of our younger brigade of players. Not 25 yet, he's in his early 20s. And that is a magnificent reply. That was a quality reply from Heath. Gary with his second bowl, trying to emulate his first, if not do better. He's just added a little bit more weight to that. He's come down the back. Possibly come back a little bit too far for David DeFrancesi's liking. Yes, Michael Doyle, the best of luck to both teams. We say that to every team we see on the live stream, the best of luck and the best of bowling. It's a handy bowl there from Heath. Just back far enough to remain in the count if that kitty gets moved, unless it's thundered right down the back of the green. Yep, Dan being reminded there by David DeFrancesi he needed more grass, that they have paid green fees, so he might as well use the green to its best advantage. Dave Print. Not sure whether Dave's bowl will come. He's coming in now. Just a little bit of weight on it. It's coming around the back. Encouraging words from Steve Motton to Dave. Okay. Dan was again fairly tight. Forgot about the grass. Okay, Dave Print. This is a better line. It's all up to his pace now. He's coming in nicely. It's not going to be a mile away. It's a good bowl there from Dave Print. Steve is quite happy with that. Chris Pearce now playing his third. It's all in the weight factor, as David has just reminded his team. Yeah, we're almost in line. Mark Hawkins. Mark is capable of playing magnificent bowls once he sets his mind to it. He's not going to be a mile away here. Not a mile away at all. Good bowl there. If it falls over, it'll give Steve 2 shots. Maybe even a second shot there now. Chris Pearce is again a little bit weighty. Steve says just reach your own. We've got 2. The trio from Brandon there having a conference amongst themselves. David having a good look at that. And Mark has any touch there, that bowl would have fallen flat. Nice bowl for Mark, just the same. Interesting that Chris walked up the green with his cap in his mouth and never raised his eyes to David at all. Okay, David with his first bowl. And his weight was a bit astray. Now Steve Motin. Motin, I think it's actually pronounced. Yep, Steve's played a defensive shot to cover the back. David's tightened this up, got the same amount of weight on it. Looking to ping this bowl out and sit. He got one out, so he's still one down. Yep. Just a nice little draw there for Steve to sit that blue and green bowl of Gary Pearce's. He's got a nice track here, Steve. Okay, gentlemen, I know you're keen, but just a tad short of weight there. So one shot to South Townsville takes them on to 4, Brandon 3 after 5 ends, according to Muddy's Kitchen scoreboard. Right, Heath Hawkins to open up proceedings on this end. I think he's a bit tight. He's not happy. He's throwing the head back. He had good weight. Some encouragement from his team behind him. Heath is one of these young fellas that expects perfection from himself with every bowl. And really gets down on himself when it doesn't happen. Nice start there from Gary Pearce. About 6 inches behind the kitty, just off to the left-hand side. Heath with a better line this time. It's all down to his weight. Just a fraction shy. Yeah, about a metre shy. Corrected his line very well. Gary Pearce with his second bowl. And has played a nice bowl here too. That's giving potentially 2 shots to Brandon at this stage, depending on how. Looking at the lines on the green, I would say they've possibly got 2 shots. Dave Print has cut his green a little bit. and dropped some weight off. Not a mile away, about half a metre in front of Jack High. Dan O'Shea. David's a little bit happier with that one after the last end from Dan. Dave Print again this time. Good line. It's all up to his weight. He's just got that little bit of extra weight on him. Is he going to cut underneath Gary Pearce? It's got to be close to shot. No. David still likes it for shot. Likes his bowl for shot. Dan O'Shea with his second bowl. Again, his grass is fairly good. We will see the green changing during the course of this game. It will, especially if we get some rain, it will quicken up substantially. Right. Mark Hawkins with his first as the third. Has just dropped his weight somewhat. No, his weight was fine. It was just his grass. Chris Pearce trying to make David a little bit happier than he was on the last end. He's got a fair line here, and he will displace Dave Print. No, he hasn't displaced Dave. He's pushed Dave in for shot. A little bit unfortunate there. If he'd have been just a fraction tighter underneath Dave, he'd have possibly finished up shot himself. Mark Hawkins changing his hand. Or having his hand changed by Steve. And he's got a big bowl here. If he gets a sit, which he didn't. Good position though. David DeFrancisi explaining to Chris exactly what he wanted. Whether he gets it or not is another matter. Good line here from Chris. Great line here from Chris, but he's going to run through. I have heard from a couple of skips during the afternoon that while they enjoy playing on this surface, it is hard, a little bit of hard work. You've got to concentrate on every single bowl. You can't just assume that the bowl's in the right place or going in the right direction. It's definitely darkening up outside now. Fortunately, we don't notice it on the screen. The cameras make it a lot lighter than what it actually is. Steve was a bit wayward with that one. He won't be happy with that. David's tightened this up quite substantially. And trickles up and flops in for shot. He obviously knew what he was doing there. Mark's directing Steve to just drift in and set that kitty out back to his bowl. Okay. Unluckily there, he popped the kitty instead of sideways. He pushed it back towards Gary Pearce's bowl. So Brandon holding one. Bit of uncertainty in Chris calling David's shot. No change to the situation in the head. That's 1-2 Brandon. Takes it 4-all on 6 ends. Tony, could we do a quick run around the rink with Muddy's scoreboard and see how we're going with some of the other games? Okay, Thuringowa after 3 ends, 1, Home Hill 3. Cutharinga Ingham after 2 ends, Cutharinga 1, Ingham 2. After 7 ends on Alligator Creek and McNade's Rink, 6-all. And Wangaratta and Bowen after 7 ends, Wangaratta 6, Bowen 5. And Suburban and Air after 5 ends, Suburban is 2, Air is a blue hat. Any movement, we can see what's going on, and it looks like an 8, doesn't it, Tony? Looks like an 8 there. We can come back to that one. And Jubilee Magnetic Island after 7 ends, Jubilee 13, Magnetic Island 5. And thanks to Muddy's Kitchen for that run around the scoreboards. Heath Hawkins about a metre behind the kitty. Gary Pearce, Jack High. Gary's lost his weight there and cut his green. Okay, it was 8, I think. Yeah. So that was an 8, not a blue cap. Who does Cutharinga want to win this game? Right, let's have a look. Ooh. Well, I wouldn't think they'd want South Townsville to win the game. Nor Ingham, nor Brandon. So it's really anybody's guess. It's become wide open to some extent in Section 1. Okay, Dan O'Shea with his first bowl. I'm not too sure what David was indicating there. Oh, that was Dave Prince bowl, sorry. That's David DeFrancesi was indicating 3 down. I'm not too sure whether that is the case, but nice effort there from Dan O'Shea. So both teams still feeling each other out here. Dave Print running around the back again, coming through Chris Pearce now. He's got a good track here. Just needs to be underneath that bowl. Or a little tap to bring him across, but failed to do so. Just ran to the back. So Steve, according to Dave DeFrancisi, is holding 2 shots at least. Mark Hawkins. Nice little bowl here. Just needs to sit Heath, which he's done. That's another counter according to David. So that is 3 shots to South Townsville. Chris looking to reduce that substantially. Again, he's got good grass. It's all down to his weight. Little walk off that. No. Okay. I think Steve would like to see that kitty just tucked up to Mark and Heath's bowls. Make it a little bit harder to get to. I don't think Mark is here. Well, he's still coming, but no. The black smoke was starting to come out towards the end of that run. Okay, so according to Hoyle and according to David DeFrancisi, South Townsville are holding 3 shots. So that white bowl and the orange bowl of Mark and Heath Hawkins is obviously closer, a lot closer than it looks on the screen. David's first bowl. And he's going to crash into, might make a reduction in, still 3, no, it's, so the distance is deceiving. Nice track here from Steve Motton. And yep. David's tightened this up somewhat. He's got good weight. He's got the line. He's ducked away. How close can you go without touching that kitty? Oh, it's Steve Motton. I fear he's got a little bit too much weight. No. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going for a measure. looking for 5 shots for South Townsville. That's 5. 5 shots. 5, big pickup there, South Townsville. 5 shots. Checking Muddy's kitchen scoreboard. That is 9 to South Townsville, 4 to Brandon after 7 ends. That was a very handy pickup there for South Townsville. Just gave them that little mini break now. But without a doubt, Brandon will come back at them. As quite a few teams this weekend have found. You can't make any assumption that Brandon is an easy beat side. Heath Hawkins leading with his first bowl. And has played a very good bowl here. Nicely. About 1.5 foot short. Gary Pearce. I fear he's a little bit tight. Good weight. Good line from Gary. Just cut his grass a little bit. Heath Hawkins with his second bowl. Right. Heath lost his weight was fairly good. Just lost his green a little bit there. Gary Pearce with his second bowl. This is a better looking bowl from Gary. This is a much better looking bowl. And a toucher. Good correction there from Gary Pearce. All right, Dave Print now. He's not going to be a long way away from the kitty. He's got a little walk across to sit behind. Handy bowl there to have sitting that far behind the kitty. Danny O'Shea. Great effort there from Danny. About a metre back. Dave Prince bowl. He'll need something here. Ran into Heath and came to an abrupt stop. Dan O'Shea has played a big bowl. He's just tucked that kitty over to Gary Pearce. Steve wants Mark coming at that bowl. Mark Hawkins, if he's got the weight, he could have a great bowl here. Right. He's kept it back to 1 down. Very handy position there. Chris Pearce with his first bowl. Hanging it out wide and staying out wide. It's fairly explicit from Steve Motin. He's following it down. He's given up. Okay, Chris Pearce now with his second bowl. It's a better bowl. David's having a look. It's Brandon holding shot so far on this end. David giving Dan O'Shea some instructions on his way past. I'm glad it was Dan getting them and not me. Because David can be a little bit terse at times. Steve Motin with his first bowl. And he's searching for Gary Pearce's bowl to rest it out, and he has done that beautifully. Gives him at least one. David with his first. I fear he's a little bit tight. Unless there's a sudden earthquake, that was never going to get anywhere near it. Okay, Steve Motin now with his second bowl, looking to consolidate. I think he's pinched his grass somewhat. His weight was good. Just pinched his grass a little bit. David trying to improve on his last bowl. I don't think he's done much at all. He's still coming, but he doesn't want to touch that one too much. It's 2 shots. Could be 3 shots. One, two. And Mark's liking for 3. Did we get a decision? It was 2, and then the kitty was just kicked away after the measure. All right, I'll have to wait till Steve comes back a little bit to find out. So that was 2 to South Townsville, which takes them to 11. Brandon 4 on, did we change the ends, Tony? On after 8 ends. Heath Hawkins leading. He's not going to be too far away. Steve's happy with that. Gary O'Shea is playing extremely well with his leading today. He just run through a little bit, just underneath the kitty. Okay, Heath's second bowl. Possibly not quite up to Heath's normal expectations, but still doing the job. Gary Pearce is still coming. And it's still coming. And has just slipped through. Okay, we have an update from South Townsville. After 7 ends, Guru 8, Noola 4. Clayton Kleinhans watching from Sears, looks like, in South Africa. Good evening, Clayton. Welcome to our live stream. Yes, Spanny, we will, at the end of this end, we will do a round the ground Muddy's Kitchen scoreboard roundup. Simon Potter, where is Wangaratta located? Wangaratta is the second club in Bowen at Queen's Beach, right on the foreshore. Yeah, Ron Rushford answered you there, Simon. It is in Bowen. If you know Queen's Beach at all, it's in walking distance, about a 5-minute walk from Queen's Beach Hotel. Okay, been a subtle change to this head at the moment. South Townsville holding 4 shots on the head. Dan O'Shea being asked to try and do something about it. I fear he's thrown it a little too wide and a little too heavy. As we just heard from David, asking Dan if he was driving. David is getting a little bit frustrated at the moment. Yes, I tend to agree, Warren, but that's the way Gary plays. Warren has indicated that as much as Gary is leading well, he thinks he would serve his rink better to lead on the narrow hand. Well, that's the 101 of leads, isn't it, Warren? That's the way we're all taught to play the game. However, we're not out there, and we can only look at the conditions they're playing under. And it may well have something to do with the way the rink is playing. Okay, Chris Pearce now has picked this kitty up and trailed it back. That makes David very happy. And to be truthful, Warren, on this particular rink, as we've found, there really is no narrow hand. Both hands are taking as much grass as the other. The speed of the green is changing at the moment as it's getting cooler. It will quicken up slightly as we're starting to see the bowls are finishing on a little bit more than they were in that second round. Warren, yep, I'm glad you agree. I have a dim recollection, Warren, when I first started playing bowls 60 years ago, being told by my coach, there is one hand that the lead will play, and that is the narrow hand, and I led for about 7 years before I moved to any other position, and I never came across a skip that was happy with me changing hands. It had to be always on the narrow hand you were leading, whether you liked it or whether you didn't like it. But things have changed. Bowls have changed. Of all sorts of different bowls that play differently. A lot of players these days do not spend an apprenticeship as a lead. They might play for 1 or 2 years as a lead, and then all of a sudden they're very keen to move up what they consider up the line. They fail to realise that possibly the most important position on the rink is the lead position. But hey, I'm old school. As I said, things have changed. Robbie's looking at me and not saying a word. David's lost this a little bit. Bending the back and trying to talk it to go in won't help it, David. I suspect Steve will possibly have a look for this bowl of Chris's. He hasn't had a firm shot so far this game. Well, he's definitely having a look for it. Has he got it? No. Great try. He wasn't far away, and he did hit something, again, which is 101 of a drive or a running shot. You must always hit something. David's coming up here and sneaking up for 2 shots. Again, doesn't have to go on the card how you got there as long as you get there. So that's 2 shots to Brandon, which takes them to 6. South Townsville on 11 after 9 ends. Now, Robbie, would you be so kind as to give us a Muddy's Kitchen scoreboard roundup, please? Okay, Thuringowa, Home Hill after 5 ends. Thuringowa 3, Home Hill 4. And the next one is Cutharinga. We know there 2. We'll come back to that. Alligator Creek, McNade after 9 ends. Alligator Creek 7, McNade 9. Wangaratta Bowen after 10 ends. Wangaratta 11, Bowen 5. That could be a boil over, that one. Suburban Air after 7 ends. Suburban 4, Air 9. Hello, things are going a little bit strange here. Jubilee and Magnetic Island after 15 ends. Bobby Datson, please. After 11 ends. Jubilee are 15, Magnetic Island 10. So Jubilee will be hoping that Suburban keep their score where they are. Cutharinga and Ingham after 5 ends. Cutharinga 2, Ingham 4. And here on the main Muddy's Kitchen scoreboard, South Townsville 11, Brandon 6 after 9 ends. So we have a couple of interesting scores there, Robbie, which could turn things around on its head a little bit tonight. Well, it will be. Suburban are lagging a little bit at the moment. Yes, it's starting to wear on a few of them. Gary Pearce played a blinder with his first bowl. Second bowl's fair. It's just outside the keyhole. But it's given Brandon 2 shots. Warren Fairjones also started as a lead and never changed his hand. And the guys that lead for me lead on the narrow hand. So I tend to agree with you wholeheartedly there, Warren. But as I said, times have changed, a little bit different. Dan O'Shea has popped up for a second shot. David will be much happier on this end so far. Dave Print is just blowing a little bit of smoke. The injectors need a little bit of cleaning out on that one. Dan O'Shea with his second bowl. He's not far out of the money here with this one either. Okay, one in, one out. Dave Print, I think, has been asked to have a swipe at this. In true fashion. I'm not too sure why they wanted to kill it. He's opened it up so that Mark and Steve have an open go at it. And they're holding possibly one shot, maybe two. Chris Pearce now with his first as a third. And as we heard David say, you want more grass than that, but he's picked up the kitty and stuck with it to a certain extent. Not far from the boundary line though. So Mark Hawkins aiming to get inside Gary Pearce's, or Chris Pearce's bowl. He'll start ducking from now. He's a little bit shy on his weight as well. Another nice bowl here from Chris Pearce, except it hasn't come in bounds. It's out of bounds. So Brandon holding one shot. This is showing a little bit more promise for Mark Hawkins. It's showing a lot more promise, but he may Steve likes it. I think I'd be looking at Chris Pearce's bowler's shot though, would you, Robbie? Yep. Yeah, okay. Just looking at the markings on the green, you would suspect. Yeah, I'd definitely say Chris is holding shot there. Not by much, but he is holding shot. David DeFrancesi looking to capitalise on this and has dropped short and has made a bit of a hash of this as far as Steve Motton's concerned. Steve's got to come just around that bowl. And what do we hear but rain on the roof? Stevie Motton's giving it every chance. No, it just ran through. 3 rolls, that's all it took. Okay, there is some rain coming in. We're about to get some substantial, not excessively heavy rain, but because it's moving through fairly quickly, but we are about to get some reasonable rain. Not surprised, it was forecast. David has got a big bowl here. He'll be very happy with that, except that he's just run through. Yeah, you get out there, they're not moving across the line much, Robbie. Steve Motin. Mark taking a long look at this. And Steve's trying to push this across and played an absolutely brilliant bowl. One shot to... Oh, he's going to have a second look at this. One shot to South Townsville, which takes them to 11. And Brandon on 6 after 9 ends on Muddy's Kitchen scoreboard. Okay, Heath throwing the kitty down. Steve's happy with the length he's thrown it. Oh, that took a little bit of a dog leg there. That's that strange little area. Yeah. Okay, see how Heath can go with this bowl. That's a slightly better start from Heath. He's been a little bit wayward, not much, but a little bit wayward for the last couple of ends, which wouldn't be making him very happy. Gary Pearce now. Gary has been playing well, but he's playing both hands, and I tend to agree with Warren. I'm not too sure why he's not just sticking to one hand unless he's being forced off it. Nice bowl there from Gary, holding shot. About a foot in front of the kitty. Young Heath with his second bowl. Right, dropped well short with that one. Gary Pearce with his second bowl. He's tracking in nicely again. Bit of bad luck there, he just popped Heath in. He had a good line, he just needed to be fractionally underneath Heath instead of into him. Dave Print. Okay, he's still got one shot. See the rain jacket starting to come out now. It's not excessively heavy rain, but it's heavy, reasonably heavy, just the same. And this will definitely change the speed of the green. Dave Print with his second bowl. He is still coming. And as we can see, there's quite a bit more finish on the bowls than there was earlier in the afternoon, which indicates that the moisture is collecting on the artificial green and speeding it up. Dan O'Shea. Just a fraction short of a gallop was Dan. Mark Hawkins with his first bowl. And he is still coming at this stage. And looks like a nice, yeah, that's a better than average bowl from Mark. Gives them 3 shots. I'm not too sure whether I agree with David DeFrancisi's 4 down, but it may be his way of trying to get that little bit extra out of his team. Chris Pearce is going to toss Mark Hawkins in and run through himself. Steve asking Mark to match Chris Pearce's back bowl, because there is quite a target there now. Warren. Gary might be handling that side, but I don't think the rest of the rink is. Okay. I'm not going to comment on that one, Warren. I can get into enough trouble by myself without helping somebody else. But Gary's still coming. He's got a nice bowl here. Missed a lot. I'm not too sure how he did manage to miss that, Robbie. I thought he got at least a touch on Mark Hawkins' bowl. Spectators and managers have abandoned the outside of the precinct because of the rain, all heading for a bit of cover. Right, Steve Motin with his first bowl. Looking to add to the count here. I'm not sure he will with this bowl, although he is underneath. Okay, interesting. Good, there's definitely 4 there now. So he has added 1 to the count. In Gary's defence, Warren, Gary normally plays as a skip. Okay, so just 2 down now after David pushed Gary's bowl up. As I was saying, he normally plays as a skip. And he's possibly seeing things and playing things a lot differently to what a seasoned lead would be doing. Yes, I do agree. They're starting to drop behind, so they need to change it up somehow. It's 2 down. David, he's got an option to pop that kitty back, because he's got the back bowls. All depend on what pace he gets into that pack with. He needs to pop it back approximately a metre. That could be 3 now. 1, 2. 2 down. Okay, so that takes South Townsville on to 14 to 6 Brandon after 10 ends. 14-6 according to Muddy's kitchen scoreboard. So that's an 8-shot break now to South Townsville. So I tend to agree, Warren. Brandon need to try and change it up somehow. But that's easier said than done if you haven't got the mat. Now this will give us a good indication as to what's going on with the green. The bowls are certainly finishing on quite a bit, but the grass is also, they need to be taking more grass. As you can see from the top left-hand corner, the rain, whilst it's not torrential, is fairly consistent. Chris Pearce with his first bowl and has played a great bowl. At this stage of the game, Chris is definitely out bowling Heath. Unless Robbie sees it differently to me. Okay, that's a better line from Heath. It just dropped his weight. Gary Pearce's second bowl. Okay. So Brandon holding 1 shot. We have the players on rink 1 joining us under shelter here. No chocolates there for Dave Brent. Yeah. Nice bowl there from Dan O'Shea. Gives them 2 shots. This might be just what the doctor ordered for them. Pick up a multiple here if they can. Reduce that margin and give them a chance to reset themselves. Dave's, that's not a bad bowl from Dave. Steve's indicating just 1 down now, so it's gone to a good home there. Dan with his second bowl. Just ducking away a little bit. Yes, you don't want to be coming through that front bowl of Gary Pearce's. You want to be under it somehow. Can't see him being able to get it coming around. That's a fair bowl there. His grass was good. Chris Pearce now. Trying to give David a little bit of a kick along with an extra bowl in the head. Which he has done perfectly. Nice bowl there. So it gives Brandon 2 shots. Mark will need a slight earth tremor. No change to the head, basically. Has Chris added to the count? I would say potentially yes. No indication from the skips as to whether it did increase the count. Right, Steve Motin. He's not a mile away from this. That'll give him shot. Exceptionally good bowl from Steve. Okay, that deserves no comment whatsoever. You may have heard through the microphone David's feelings about that bowl, which was his own bowl, so it doesn't need me to say anything. Steve with his second bowl. He's got a similar line. He needs a walk off this, and he's got it. Luck's a fortune, but he was in the area, he had the weight, he was in the zone. David's second bowl. He's not a mile away from this either, I don't think, Robbie. Okay, 2 shots to South Townsville. Takes them to 16. Brandon 6 after 11 ends. Halfway mark. After 12 ends, sorry Robbie. Just past the halfway mark. Could we please have a Muddy's Kitchen roll around the green, please? So, start here from Heath. Okay, courtesy of Muddy's Kitchen. Score update from the rest of the rinks. Thuringower Home Hill after 9 ends. Thuringower 8, Home Hill 7. And Cutharinga Ingham after 8 ends. Cutharinga 9, Ingham 6. And on Alligator Creek and McNade's rink after 13 ends. Alligator Creek 7, McNade 17. And we might have to come back to that. I'm not too sure who that one is. And Suburban and Air after 8 ends. Suburban at 10, Air 9. And Jubilee and Magnetic Island after 15 ends. Jubilee 22, Magnetic Island 14. Wangaratta Bowen was the one we're looking for. Wangaratta and Bowen after 13 ends. Wangaratta 17, Bowen 6. So we have a little bit of a problem with Bowen, who would be looking to win this game to remain undefeated. Thanks, Robbie. Meanwhile, on rink 1, South Townsville 16, Brandon 6 after 12 ends. I suspect we'll get an update very shortly from Ann Polkinghorn over at South Townsville. Okay. Strange as it seems, South Townsville will be holding at least 2 shots, maybe 3 shots. Wouldn't expect that on a head like this, but it is. Dan O'Shea playing a good bowl here. Great bowl there from Dan. It's getting them out of a little bit of trouble. Okay, Dave Print is coming still, just a fraction around the back of it. Okay, pretty much duplicated his first bowl. Dan O'Shea's second bowl is coming into a good home again. 2 good bowls from Dan. Okay, so see what we heard Steve very clearly there. Onto the green bowl of Dan O'Shea's. Again, he possibly doesn't need much of a touch on that, he needs to pop that bowl back to the 2 blue bowls of Dave Print. But he's obviously looking to try and dead draw it. Still two down, 2 up to Brandon. I think South Townsville have got some pretty healthy back bowls there. Any movement of the kitty. Chris would be trying to stop that from happening. He dropped short. Okay. Steve likes to see Mark being more attacking. So that little burst of rain has stopped for the moment. I should be a little bit more diplomatic when I see those sort of shots, but The weight was brilliant, yes. So I think Brandon's only got one shot there. I don't think that front bowl of Chris's is in the count. Well, it may well be in the count by the look of that. Robbie? Yeah. If nothing changes, I suspect there'll be a measure. Unless they see it differently when they're standing over the top of us. Steve Motton's first bowl. I think he's going to cut away. He's got good weight. Well, that's taken any doubt out of it. Okay, over at South Townsville. On 15 ends, Noola 15, Guru 11. Thanks, Peter, for collecting that for us. So that brings us up to date with all the rinks. David dropped short, but he may still be in the count. Okay, that came through that time. Tony and Polkinghorne sent us a message. Noola 15, Guru 11 on 15. Okay, so we have Brandon holding 3 shots. David with 1 bullet left in his hand. If you can pick up a 4 here, it'll certainly close the gap a little bit. Okay, a little bit wayward there was David. However, he's still coming. Four shots to Brandon, which takes them to 10. South Townsville 16 after 13 ends. It's made a change in the game. 6 shots the difference now. Fairly serious discussion between David and Gary Pearce. Gary's moved the mat 1 mat length further up the green. I suspect he's only looking for a bit over 3/4 length end. It surprised me. I thought they might have gone for a tee to tee just to test the waters. Okay, Gary Pearce leading off. Little kick of the mat. It's a favourite trick of mine, but I'm not sure whether it helps the bowl at all or does anything to the bowl. Don't think it sends a signal or anything. Okay, about a metre and a half behind the kiddie. His grass was good. Heath Hawkins now. Doesn't look overly happy with it. Lots of hand signals to the bowl. Again, is the bowl taking any notice? I don't think so. Okay, Gary with his second bowl. And is still coming. And has played a nice bowl there. Gives him 2 shots. About half a bowl behind Jack High. Heath needs to make sure he hasn't dropped his weight here. Yeah, he has fractionally. Three-quarters of a metre, said Steve. Dan O'Shea. Well, there's certainly been a definitive change in Dan O'Shea's game. He's really picked it up. Dave Print. He is still coming. No, he's not coming all the way. He's just beaten Heath's bowl. 1.5 feet, 2 foot in front, Robbie. Bit of a light sprinkling happening on the roof again as we speak. Dan just missed his line a little bit then. His weight was fairly good. Dave Print with his second bowl. He's blowing smoke, Dave is. Hey, Chris Pearce. He's got a good line. It's all down to his weight. Okay. So Brandon holding 2 shots at the moment, possibly 3. Depends on those front bowls of Dave Print. Mark Hawkins ran through, missed everything. Chris Pearce has tightened his line up. And that was reflected in where the bowl finished. Oh, it's starting to look a little bit thicker up there, Robbie. Starting to build up. Yes, it's still patchy, but there's heavier rain in those patches. It's only light to moderate. Oh, that doesn't look real good, that one. That's going to bypass us, though, I think. Yeah. We're getting all the little scuds. Yep. We can live with that if it stays like that. Okay, Mark Hawkins with his second bowl after a very serious debate with Steve Motin. He needed to set that bowl. Great try, great effort. So we're not getting much indication as to what's going on there. There's two shots to Brandon at this stage. 4 bowls to come. David's little hop, skip and jump. He hasn't given it away quite yet. He has now. You could almost forget about watching the bowl and just watch what David does. He's a very good indicator of what's happening with his bowl. Okay, Steve Motin. A little bit unlucky there. So I would suspect that is still 2. David's coming to have a close look. He knows numbers are important at this stage. Playing the 14th end. This is 2/3 of the way through the game. Steve decided to come down and have a look as well, which is his prerogative. I would hazard a guess, Robbie, that Brandon could be holding 3 shots there. Well, we've only got 2 bowls to go and they'll soon tell us, I suppose. Right. It's definitely 1. It's 2. Yeah, definitely 2. Because that's Steve Motton's bowl on the side here. It's a bit deceiving, Robbie. Yeah. Ooh, Steve's thrown that out. What's he after? He doesn't need to kick another one in for him. Well, he has. Okay, boys, stand back so we can see what's going on. That means you, Gary. That's 1. That's their closest by their judgment. That's 1. It's definitely 3. 3 shots to Brandon. So 7-shot pickup on 2 ends. That takes Brandon to 13. To South Townsville on 16 after 14 ends. The game is definitely on. Thanks, Steve, doing the scoreboard for us. Okay, David's definitely changing it now. He's looking for a short to medium end. Shortish end, actually. It's going to be... You'll want to reach Gary, otherwise Steve will call the umpire. No, Steve's happy with that. Well, they have markings on the banks so they can get a pretty good gauge of what their length is. Nice bowl here from Gary Pearce. Suddenly started playing round the clock. Young Heath. He needs to keep running. Yep. Better than fair start from Heath. Gary Pearce. Good reply. Just gone through about a metre and a half. Oh, maybe a little bit more. But has just gone through. All right, two good bowls there from Heath. Puts the pressure back on Brandon. Okay, that came in further than I thought it would, but Dan O'Shea with his second bowl. He's got a nice looking track here. It's all up to his weight. Great bowl from Dan. Excellent bowl there. Dave Pritt needs to just tighten this up a fraction. Maintain his weight. Great try. Big effort there from Dave Pritt. It's in a good position, that bowl of Dan's. Showing Chris Pearce. Just a bit short. Mark Hawkins. Just his weight, that's all that was. Chris Pearce with his second bowl. David's having a look. That's two shots. Good bowl. That's why David was having a close look. That's possibly true, Warren, but there are other factors at play over the last few ends with the change in the weather. Big bowl there from Mark Hawkins. He's popped that out into the open. I suspect he's still... South Townsville is still 2 down, but it's easier to get to now. Okay, first bowl of David DeFranchise's. Oh. Steve Motin looking to dead draw the shot bowl. I think he's got a little bit too much weight on this. Yeah, just overcooked it a little bit. That was very much a wrist flick from Dave DeFranchise then. Steve didn't correct his weight. In fact, he increased his weight. Three. Okay, so we now have a ball game on our hands. Brandon 16, South Townsville 16 after 15 ends. Robbie, can I impose and ask for a Muddy's Kitchen roundup around the green, please? Right, the scores around the green according to Muddy's Kitchen. Thuringower Home Hill after 11 ends. Thuringower 10, Home Hill 7. And we might have to come... Okay, Cutharinga and Ingham after 11 ends. Cutharinga 11, Ingham 8. Alligator Creek McNade after 14. Alligator Creek 9, McNade 17. And Wangaratta and Bowen, I'm sure that's Bowen, is 19-10 after 16 ends Wangaratta's way. So it's gone close. Suburban and Air after 13. We might have to come back to that one, Robbie. Jubilee and Magnetic Island after 17 ends. Jubilee 24, Magnetic Island 15. And Suburban Air, we know it's 13 ends. We know Suburban are 16. We're not seeing much movement from Neil Davis. He's insisting on standing in front of the scoreboard for us. He's going to play on his phone. I suspect that is a bit of a one-way game because it was earlier. Back to rink 1, South Townsville, Brandon, all square on 16 after 15 ends. So we have the start of a new game, basically. And Heath Hawkins is holding shot for South Townsville. 15-9, Robbie. 16-9. Thanks for that, Robbie. And thanks to Muddy's Kitchen for helping us out with the scoreboards around the green. I suspect I'll get a message from Ann Polkinghorn over at South Townsville shortly. So I would think, yes, we go. Here we go. Nula, 15. Guru, 11 after 15 ends. So there's slight change around there. Yeah, Nula's just kicked ahead a little bit. Dan O'Shea just missing there. Heath Hawkins for South Townsville holding shot. Dave Prince bowl. He just needs to tap Heath in for a second shot. So South Townsville currently holding 2 on the head. There's a bit of a target there, so I don't imagine it'll stay that way for long. Okay, that's 1 out from Chris Pearce. Mark Hawkins looking to draw under that bowl, which he hasn't, unfortunately. Unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for South Townsville. There's Chris Pearce with his second bowl, and he's just a little bit overcooked with weight. Although David's happy to see it back there. Steve asking Mark to just come underneath Dave Prince bowl and his own bowl. He's coming, but is he coming underneath? He is coming underneath. And great bowl. Very good bowl there from Mark Hawkins. Well, rest assured David won't want to leave it sitting there like that. Is it going to cut? Not too sure why he's driving at it. He doesn't need to drive at it. No, two down, but Yeah. Yep. Well, those two bowls on the right-hand side both belong to South Townsville. Yeah. That's Dave Print, their second. Oh, so Steve's coming around the back. He's hoping not to take any chances and wants a bit of protection. I fear there's two bowls between Steve Motton's bowl and the ditch, and neither of them are his. Right. It's a bit of a mishmash behind there now, isn't it? There's a better bowl. He's liking it. He's loving it. Which way's it gone? Over to Heath Hawkins. There's one shot to South Townsville. So they'll be looking for Steve to draw to the ditch. That's Dave Print standing in the way. I dribble. Yeah, I got the update. Thanks, Peter. Our umpire giving us an update from South Townsville. Just the one to South Townsville, which takes them to 17. Brandon 16 after 16 ends. 5 ends to go. The game has been split wide open. Just a message from South Townsville that they haven't had any rain there as yet, so the Scuds have missed them. Yeah, that way, Robbie. Yeah, that way. Just slightly southeast of us. Okay, Steve has stretched this out. Almost tee to tee. Nice start there from Heath. On that map, it's just sort of skirting South Townsville. David trying to encourage his lead and convince his lead that he had a good bowl. Heath's coming round the back and hoping that he doesn't lose the bowl, which I fear he may. Yes, no, it's low. There's obviously a little lip there. Slowed up on the lip and rolled back down. Gary Pearce is still coming. Okay, Dave Print. He's thrown that out a mile. And I fear he won't have the same fate as Heath. His bowl's going to get washed in the ditch. Dan O'Shea, just waiting for the kitty to be centred on the rink next door, as he felt there was movement in his eye. Good line from Dan. It's all up to his weight. Okay, 2 shots. 2 very good shots to Brandon at the moment. Dave Print to throw his second down. He's got a pretty good line. He just needs to hold his head. And have the weight. Another nice bowl from Dan O'Shea. It's behind. Mark Hawkins. Steve likes the grass. How's Mark's weight? It's going to be just fractionally behind. Chris Pearce has been instructed to try and crash into those front bowls, which will consolidate Brandon's lead a little bit, and he's not crashed. Mark Hawkins. He's still coming. Still 2 down. Chris Pearce with his second bowl. David signalling that he wanted him out a little bit further. However, it worked. It's 3 shots to Brandon at this stage. 4 bowls to come on this end. Just proves the old theory that these games are never over until the fat lady sings, Robbie. Sorry, Robbie? We had almost written them off because they weren't playing all that badly, but they were struggling. No. Wants to sit that. That's it. Great bowl there from Steve Motton. It's a fairly easy decision that David's got to take. He's got a couple of options there. Just try and run Steve Motton's bowl through, or onto Mark Hawkins' white bowl, which will push Brandon's bowls closer to the kitty and hopefully pick up the shot. But he's got to be in the area. Okay, I think he's trying to promote his own bowls by the look of this. Rattled him around, but nothing happened. Steve Motton's second bowl. He's thrown it out wider. That's 2 shots to Steve. So David's looking for Steve's front bowl. Is it going to hold its line, or is it going to swing? It's going to swing. And still 2 down. Good try there from David Di Francesi. So that gives 2 to South Townsville, which puts them to 19-16 after 16 ends. So after 17 ends, sorry. That was a great try there from David. He hit that with the right amount of pace, but just a little bit unlucky. There was possibly too many bowls in that pack to get the result he was after. Thanks, Tony. Okay, an interesting move. It looks like Mark might have decided to stay up this end with Steve until he's ready to play. He's come up the back, standing on the back. No, he's not joined Steve on the green. Heath Hawkins with his first bowl as leading. Yeah, good start there from Heath. Having said that, Gary Pearce has upped his game quite considerably over the last few ends. Just a fraction short. Right, Heath has given himself plenty of grass. He wouldn't be happy with that. You can see by his body language, he is not happy with that second bowl. Gary Pearce with his second. A good line from Gary. It's all to do with the running. Just ran through a little bit too far. Dave Print this time. Don't really want to disturb anything, Dave, especially that way. Okay. Gary Pearce could now be holding shot after that little tickle from Dave Print. Dan O'Shea. He's only got to reach that bowl. Yes, that could well be second shot. Not going to be far away from second if it's not. Dave Print. Just quarter an ounce short. Dan O'Shea with his second bowl. Okay. That may be two to Brandon. A lot of bowls to come yet. Mark Hawkins with his first. He's cutting away a little bit. Is he going to get a touch and a walk off? Right. Not a great reaction from Steve, so we're not too sure how far forward of the kitty that bowl is. Chris Pearce now with his first. He's given it good grass. And he's giving himself every chance with this bowl. And he has a big bowl here. Very good bowl there from Chris Pearce. Made his skip extremely happy. Mark's cut away there. Chris dropped short there, but did a lot of damage with his first bowl. Not a great deal of indication as to how many shots Brandon are holding. Where we're looking at it, I suspect it's at least 2, could be 3, maybe even 4. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's a 5 sitting there at the moment. So the pressure on Steve Motton. He's cut away. He doesn't need to touch that one. Dave is liking this. He's coming forward and looking very closely at this whole thing. That's made a difference. I think Mark called it just 1 then. He's having a good look. Just draw was the instruction from Mark to Steve. Everybody's holding their breath here. He doesn't need to crash. which he has, sadly. Unfortunately for South Townsville. David was standing there having a good look at the situation. David is looking for numbers to try and close this 3-shot deficit. This is the 18th end. Only 3 ends to go after this. David's pushed it out, giving himself every chance. He is not going to crash into those front bowls. He is drawn a bomb. Okay, Gary, don't stand in the way. There's 2 shots out of their head. So they're looking between Gary's first bowl and Dave Prince's bowl. Umpire to get a decision on this. I think they've pulled 2 out already, Tony, haven't they? Yes. So that one wasn't even in the hunt by the look of that. Three shots. All squared up again, 19 all after 18 ends. Can we do a quick run round the green, please, Tony? On behalf of Muddy's Kitchen, I'll give you a score update on the other rinks. Thuringowa 13 after 13 ends, Home Hill 8. Katharinga after 13 ends, 11. Ingham 10. That's tightened up that game. Alligator Creek after 19 ends, 10. McNade 25. Wangaratta after... That is 19. Yep, Wangaratta and Bowen after 19 ends, Wangaratta 20, Bowen 17. Suburban and Ayr after 16 ends, Suburban 20, and they don't want us to see the score at all, do they? We might have to come back to that one, Tony. And Jubilee Magnetic Island, 20 ends, Jubilee 25, Magnetic Island 20. And Suburban and Ayr is not moving at all. Did we get the Bowen game? I can't recall whether we got Bowen. Did we? Or Bowen finished? They might have. No, Bowen's still going. Right. And hit. Okay, yep. Okay, on the rink 1, South Townsville and Brandon all tied up 19 all after 18 ends. 3 ends to go. Brandon holding shot with Gary Pearce's first bowl. He's definitely been the more consistent of the two leads in this game so far. Having said that, I put the mocker on him, although he's coming in nicely now. Yep, that gives him 2 shots. Heath Hawkins with his second bowl. It's Urban Air, 20 to 10 after 16. Okay, thanks, Tony. Okay, only 1 shot to Brandon now. Sam, we've just done a run around all the rinks. Great bowl there from Dan O'Shea. So the kitty is sitting right in the middle of the 2 Brandon bowls. The blue and green bowl and the green bowl. Dave Print has been asked to come between, and he's not. He's cutting across the head. Okay, Dan's coming in very nicely here for possible third. Definitely holding 2. Dave's just short of a gallop there. Chris Pearce has been asked by David DeFrancesi to place a bowl around the back. And he didn't care whereabouts around the back it was as long as it's around the back. Yep. Steve Motin has asked Mark Hawkins to be on to Gary Pearce's shot bowl, possibly in the hope of punching the kitty sideways. And sadly, he's got 1 out, but he also took one of his own out. David is being very deliberate in his calling now. I think he can sniff a victory here. He's currently sitting in the box seat. Yeah, it's tightened up again. And Brandon is holding 2 shots between those 2 bowls next to Heath's. The kitty's in between the 2 of them. You can just see the edge of the kitty just in front of that green bowl. If you look on here, there's the... Yeah, that's right. So Mark will be hoping he possibly change his hand here and look to swing between Heath's bowl and Gary Pearce's front bowl. He needs to hold his head, and he hasn't. Wasn't far off it. But a miss doesn't give you the chocolates. Yep. Right. Changing over. Skip's going to the mat. David giving Dan O'Shea some fairly specific instructions there. Not too sure what all that was about, but Dan has been playing some big bowls over the last few ends. Okay. Update from South Townsville. Nuala 20, Guru 17 on 20 ends. Okay. At least he's given Steve a look at it now. So quite tense out there on that rink at the moment. I suspect Steve's got a little bit too much pace here. Lynn Hazamuick goes South Townsville from Giro. G-E-R-O. I don't think that's supposed to be Guru. That's the latest score that came through, Robbie. Yeah. Yeah, so that game will be over by now, I assume. David Di Francesi. It's not looking very healthy. It's 4 shots to Brandon at this stage. Mark's asking Steve to kill it. There's a Big bowl in the context of this game. Is he going to swing? 4 shots to Brandon, which takes them to 23. South Townsville 19 after 19 ends. 2 ends to go. No, they've decided they're only going to give 3 away. Mark had indicated it was 4. Four shots to Brandon. So 4 shot difference now with 2 ends to go. Go down, then come back. Can we do a quick sweep with the other rinks, please, Tony? Because a couple of those games are hanging in the balance as well. Courtesy of Muddy's Kitchen. We'll do a run around the green. Thuringower Home Hill after 16 ends. Thuringower 16, Home Hill 10. Cutharinga Ingham after 15 ends. Cutharinga 12, Ingham 11. That's still tight, that game. Okay, that one's finished, which is not the Bowen game. I don't think. I think it's the Alligator. Yeah, it could be the Alligator Creek game. Okay, next one. Thanks, Tony, if you can. Suburban Air. Okay, Suburban's got that one wrapped up, I would think. 20 to 10 after 16 ends. That's been taken off as well. So we don't know what's happened with the Bowen game. That was another critical game. And the Suburban game, we don't know what's happened there. Although Suburban is still out on the green.
They've taken their tags off.
Okay, back to rink 1 at this stage while we see if we can make heads of what's going on with those other 2 games. 2 lead shots to Heath Hawkins at the stage. Dan O'Shea playing his first bowl. He's jumped up another level over the last few ends, Robbie. He's making life very, very difficult for South Townsville. Okay, that was Dave Print. Great, good weight, just a fraction wide with the grass. Two good bowls there from Danny O'Shea. He's really starting to put the pressure on South Townsville. They've only lost 1 to date. And this, if Brandon get up, this could put Brandon into contention tomorrow morning too. There's been potentially a couple of upsets in this round, which will have a direct effect on the standings after this round's finished. Chris Pearce has got nice grass. He just needs to come behind. He's pushed Dave Print back a little bit. It's not desperation stakes for South Townsville yet, but they need to win this end. It's definitely a must to win the end. I don't think Mark's here, is he? He just arrived, but he would not be very happy with himself after that bowl. Okay, Chris Pearce has come behind. That's be a very handy bowl there. We'll take a couple of options of shots out of South Townsville's grasp. There's Polaire doing some scouting around in the skies. Must be a little bit of movement with our wayward youth. Just your weight again, Mark. That's all it was in his weight. Directly behind that front green bowl, David. It's a bit of a worry when he's just left the head. He doesn't want to kick it too far. He's still got the shot. He's got at least one there, Robbie. Okay, David, you've had a look. Now you can move out of the way for us. Thank you. Expressionless Okay, I would suggest it's only one down now. Could have been two down before. Okay. I suspect David's trying to... No, he's not going to. I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to reach that kitty just to tuck it back to his back three bowls, which would have given him an 8-shot margin, depending on what Steve Motton did. But would have, should have, could have, doesn't count. Hey, Robbie? Well, all four of those bowls sitting on in the front on that side are all Steve's or South Townsville's bowls. Well, he's got one shot out of it, so that's closed it a little bit. So it makes it 20 to South Townsville, 23 Brandon after 20 ends. Last end coming up. And we don't know what's happened with Bowen. They've finished their game. They ripped their information off before we could get score from them. So last end, Brandon with a 2-shot lead. Conference amongst the South Townsville players, 3-shot lead. 23-20, you're right, David. Okay, we're playing the hat game. Cutharinga Ingham, 16 ends played. Cutharinga 13, Ingham 11. And again, we go to the dump Suburban and Air after 18 ends. Suburban 23, Air 11. You would expect that to be a foregone conclusion, and they've dumped their scores as well. Yep. It is frustrating, Robbie. Courtesy of Muddy's Kitchen. Muddy's fallen down on the job. He, Mark Edwards. Yep, so we've had that one. 13-11 to Cutharinga after 16. And that was 18-12 after 18 ends it was, yes. Thuringowa's way. Meanwhile, back on rink 1. Heath Hawkins is holding the shot. Gary Pearce has given it a good shake, but just fallen fractionally short. Heath second bowl. He's coming in nicely. He needs to keep coming. And he has. Fair bowl there. I'd give him 2 shots for that at this stage. Gary Pearce with his second bowl rather. He's not far away. Yep, he snuck around the corner and has given the shot to Brandon. Okay, Dave Print. I suspect Dave's going to be a little bit tight with his grass. Okay, Dan O'Shea, who the last few ends has been playing like a man possessed. There was quite a discussion between David and Dan about 4 ends ago. Quite a lengthy discussion, and whatever was said or suggested has worked. Little tickle. No, he didn't get the tickle. Okay, now what is Mark Hawkins going to do to try and retrieve this situation? He was after delicate weight, but didn't have the grass. Chris Pearce with his first. Yeah, the weight was fine with Mark's first bowl. It was just his grass. He just had it a little bit too tight, just a fraction. That's a better looking bowl, but he's underneath again. Dave is well aware of where the danger is at the moment, trying to get Chris out there. Okay. Do we have the fat lady doing her sound check, Robbie? Oh, she has gargled, yes. So, yep. Just waiting on to see whether she's done the sound check. Adam Zarts. It sounded like a bit of a frustrating message, Adam. Take grass, such a simple thing to do. Steve, unlucky there. Yeah, he's got a few seconds there. He's 2 down at the moment, though, by the look of it. Yeah, it's definitely 2 down. Dan O'Shea and Chris's bowl. Well, I thought he might have too, because that to me would have given him a better chance of getting a good result. That's right. Well, it's all on Steve's hands now. David a bit annoyed that he didn't get to where he wanted to go. They're all going to stand in front of it, so we have no idea of what's going to happen. Has he done it? 1, 2, 3. Have we gone to an extra end? Okay, so it's definitely game on now. That could be that bowl just behind Mark Hawkins' bowl. Is that's sorry, Robbie? Yeah, yep. David's got the last bowl because South Townsville picked up 1 on the last end. Yeah, look, that's what we thought. I thought it was potential 5 there. So Steve's holding at 5. He needs to start turning now. That's the game, I'd say. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 shots. Yep, could even be 5 shots there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could even be 6 there. Yeah, Mark's saying that's your closest. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the game. They'd be still looking for shots. Ah, that was interesting. Chris refused to touch the tape. You want them, you measure them. So they think that's their closest. That's Dave Prince bowl. That's not in. There's 5, I think. Yep. Okay, boys, clear out of the head and let the umpire do his job. Well, Peter was standing directly opposite, and he indicated to us that he thought they were holding 5 shots prior to that one of David's. Yeah, the laser actually hits the kitty. Yeah. There you go. See the laser hitting it? 4. Okay. So that's a big end of the game. South Townsville picked up a 4 there on the last end, which gave them a 24-23 victory. Very hard-fought game all the way through. Some exceptionally good bowls. A few ebbs and flows. A lot of sweaty palms. And a lot of hard decisions. Right, so could we just do a check on the South Suburban game for us, please, Robbie? Yep, it's the only other. Oh, there's 2 games going. There's a couple of games. Thuringowa were playing Home Hill, I think. They are not moving. Okay, Catharinga and Ingham have played 17 ends. Catharinga 13, Ingham 12. So a very tight game over there. And that's not in it anymore. It's the 2. That's not in it anymore. The next one over will be Suburban and Ayr. After 20 ends, 27 to Suburban, 12 to Ayr. So that's a foregone conclusion, that one. The Suburban win. Thuringowa Home Hill, we've done a check on that. 18-12 after 18 ends. Yep, so that's the three games still underway, just heading in towards the tail end of their games. Thuringowa with a 6-shot lead over Home Hill. And Catharinga with a 1-shot lead. We've got a bigger lead now. He's just changing the board. He's trying to make sure he's got everything right. 19 ends, 23-12. Okay. Yes, that's right. Yep. So that's an 11-shot differential there. I suggest it might be a bit hard for Home Hill to pick up 11 shots in 2 ends, although they're sticking with them. That's right, yes. Exactly, yeah. You're so right, Robbie. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Okay. There's still a couple out there, yes. Well, the rain stopped, so they're making the most of a balmy Townsville evening. Especially if you come up from down south, you'd think it would be a magnificent evening. To us Townsvillians, it's a bit nippy. So after another very successful day at the Gallivant. Yeah, some with no jumpers or jackets on, others rugged up. Well, the ladies have got sense there. They've got decent warm clothes on. Just doing a sweep around. The crowd is dispersing. By the look of the barbecues going by the smell of it. I suspect the clubhouse is jumping a little bit inside at this stage. Right. Okay, for day 3 of the Dunn Cup, we would like to thank again our supporters and sponsors, Gallivant Travel, Hutchison Builders, Lexmar Training, Signs of Excellence, Muddy's Kitchen, now sponsoring the scoreboards, Catharinga Rhinos and North Queensland District Men's Bowls Association. On behalf of myself, Ron, Robbie and Tony, we would like to bid you farewell for tonight, and we'll be with you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Good evening all.